Saturday morning. And that means it's time to catch up on the local and statewide high school sports scene. Welcome to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Well, we got 50% of that right today, just like last week. I was on assignment last week at the Boo Williams Sportsplex in Hampton for the Hoop Group Southern Jam Fest. And if you missed any of last week's show, you can always find the replay on virginiapreps.com on our other tab, all the past episodes of the show. This is High School Sports Talk, presented by virginiapreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. And I am Matthew Hatfield. Thomas Simmons on our other side of the glass for us, keeping us afloat, while the coach, Ed Young, is on assignment today. Sorry about that. He is not here today. Sorry. Thomas, all I can say is that I hear his Memorial Day weekend is going to be a roller coaster of a weekend. We have the little ding-ding, the little cymbals.
So he's going to Disney World is what you're saying.
Didn't say that, no. And I believe he is still in the friendly confines of the Commonwealth of Virginia, from what I understand. So, but he is unable to be here with us. He is here with us in spirit, but not in body or bad knee. So let's hope that knee gets better soon, because I know he is missing out on all the dancing. And we will segue that dancing into teams that are close to dancing for the state tournament for spring sports. Specifically, we're going to go through some baseball scores this morning here, these first couple of segments. Before we do that, though, Thomas, I have to get two things off my chest. One, I have to get off who we got coming on the show. And two, we have a jam-packed day for you on ESPN Radio 94.1. Just spend your Memorial Day weekend with us all weekend long through Monday. We'll have baseball on Monday. No 7x7 and 6 or Nick Cattle show on Monday. But today, after we're done, we have the network, and then we have Tides Baseball 550 in Gwinnett taking on the Braves. The Tides have been playing much better as of late, the last month and a half or so. And then we have game number 6 of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals join in progress. We'll make a pick tonight before the show is over. The Bucks and the Raptors, Toronto trying to close it out and go to the NBA championship for the first time in franchise history. After trailing 2-0, they've won 3 in a row. I have to get this off my chest though, real quick about that before we get to high school matters at hand. And I didn't do this yesterday or last night. How in the world does Drake get to just walk up and down the sidelines like he owns the place and nobody says a peep to him? Adam Silver doesn't say a peep to him.
Well, Adam Silver likes the attention against the NBA.
I know he does, but here's my thing. If Thomas Simmons or Matt Hatfield or Keith from Smithfield, who I'm sure will be calling in soon, or anybody did that and was giving a coach a massage.
Celebrity privilege, man. It's celebrity privilege.
But
we got to crack down on these celebs. They're going crazy courtside, doing whatever they want.
Do you see Jack Nicholson doing that?
Spike Lee was doing, that's cool. Chirping it up is fine. But yeah, when you're giving the coach a massage, I feel like
he didn't make any contact with any players or coaches, though he did have a lot of barking with Reggie Miller.
We had the kid touch
we
Westbrook,
did have the kid.
That was a huge, big deal. And then,
now we got a guy giving, and Budenholzer didn't like it, if you noticed, by the way. He was very upset, and of course he's down 3-2. That's why he should be upset.
Drake loves that, though. Drake's like, heck yeah. Pay attention to me.
But and that's the problem I have. It's like I'm bigger than the sport. That mentality almost that he's coming about. I can just walk up and down the sidelines.
Well, I also think Drake's trying to be just a distraction for Milwaukee.
Oh, and he's accomplishing that in some way, shape, or form. If you consider the fact they're up 3-2 now, and it's obviously gotten in Budenholzer's head because he said something about it. I don't like it. Any other sport, you don't see that happen. You don't. Now listen, I take that back. College football, you remember the infamous Rose Bowl with Vince Young in Texas against Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, and company USC. You did see Snoop Dogg and you saw Matthew McConaughey, where they were basically almost in the huddle, both of them. That was a little rough. And they've done features on that classic game ever since when Young led the Longhorns back on a comeback after the 4th down stop. You remember the whole deal, who should have run it, Reggie Bush, Lindell White. Nonetheless, you did see that a little bit in college football, but it's become a sideshow almost now. Can you imagine if they get to the championship, how bad it's going to be? I tell you what, he messes with Draymond Green. Draymond Green might punch him because that guy's crazy. So
I want to hear the Drake diss track of the Warriors. That's what I need.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to say his music great. I'm not getting into that. But whether you like your music, that's fine. That's your own prerogative, and he's accomplished a lot.
I want the NBA's pop culture to infiltrate music now. I want that to
I don't need to see him up and down a sound like he owns the place. We didn't see this with Penny. Well, Penny Marshall didn't want to do it. We didn't see it with Jack Nicholson, or Spike was close to that. He towed the line a little bit. But My goodness.
The NBA is the professional sports league I go to get my absurdity, and I'm getting plenty of it this postseason, and I just want to soak it in.
That's beyond absurd. So if you agree or disagree, you're welcome to call in at 757-687-9494, or we also encourage anything you want to talk about in the world of high school sports. We'll take your thoughts and observations as well as questions at 757-687-9494 this morning. Our guests include, we'll be talking with Matt Arrington, the softball coach of the Churchland Truckers, at about 10:30 this morning. They're hosting a regional playoff game in Region 4A on Monday against their Portsmouth rival, Woodrow Wilson High School. So there is some softball as well as baseball all throughout the area, and some spring sports action, soccer, tennis too, on Memorial Day Monday. And going into next week, a lot of teams playing on Tuesday as well. I know Region 6A has its baseball then. Talk with Matt Arrington at 10:30. We'll have some playback clips throughout the show, different spots. And in the 11 o'clock hour, we're scheduled to be joined by Darren Sanderlin, D. Nice, the new head basketball coach of the Kempsville Chiefs in Virginia Beach. Was at Booker T. Washington Thomas for 18 years, his alma mater, where he hit the game-winning shot back in, I think it was 85 or 86. In the state championship for the Bookers when they beat Petersburg in a double overtime thriller for the state championship. Also led Booker T to a state title in 2006. Led them to a region title in 2007 over Coach Young. We can mention that today since Ed's not here. And now moving over from Norfolk to Kempsville High in Virginia Beach as the new coach of the Chiefs. So we'll talk about that with Darren Sanderlin, who also was quite a player at Norfolk State University back in his heyday. And then 11:25 this morning, we'll be joined by Matt Entner. He is the head baseball coach of the Cox Falcons. They have a big one coming up against First Colonial in the region semifinals in Region 6A, coming off an impressive victory last night in the opening round, the quarterfinal action for Region 6A baseball as they put it on the Woodside Wolverines, which we'll tell you about here in just a moment. So again, you can hit us up on Twitter, HS Sports Talk 941. That is HS Sports Talk 941. And give us a call at 757-687-9494. That's area code 757-687-9494. Let's fire up that scoreboard music, shall we? We'll do this through the first two segments. Baseball tonight. Where's Carl Ravitch and Tim Kirkchin at? Are they here? We got to get Timmy Kirkchin back on. We haven't had him on in a while. You know, Buster Olney just snubs us, and Jason Snark doesn't return our phone calls either.
Kirkchin is always a good interview, though.
He is
always
great.
Fun when we bring him on.
And we got to bring up avocados, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. When he goes on with Kornheiser on his podcast about avocados, and there's a great story that Kirkchin tells about his son out in Vegas. We got to bring that up to him at some point, too. That might be the last time he comes on with us, though. But it's a good story. He told it. So, all right, let's start in Region 6A for high school baseball. Yesterday, we had an upset, Thomas. The number 8 seed took out the number 1 seed, the Kellam Knights. St. Clair Jones's bunch, 7-5, a winner over the Granby Comets. You can read about that on VirginiaPreps.com. Reese Nobles was out there to watch and witness that upset over the team that he and many others picked to win the region, the Granby Comets, who came in at 16-4 overall. Great season for them. It's done, though, earlier than they anticipated. Kellam 7, Granby 5. So the 8-seeded Knights will be taking on the 5th-seeded Ocean Lakes Dolphins, who doubled up Western Branch. Yeah, Western Branch, who went to the state championship each of the last 2 years. They're out 4-2. Dolphins of Ocean Lakes move on. Somebody from the beach will be in the championship in Region 6A. Oh, yeah, 2 teams will be in there from the beach because number 3 seed First Colonial, Scott Stubby's Patriots, pitch an 8-0 shutout of the Grassfield Grizzlies. They move on to take on the Cox Falcons, who just put on a clinic offensively, 16-2 for Coach Ittner's Falcons over Woodside. So an all-beach region semifinal in 6A. Kellam, Ocean Lakes, First Colonial, and Cox. It's all about the beach in 6A baseball. Now, the teams that go on to states from here in 6A, as well as all the regions, will take on the teams that represent the Richmond areas for 6 down to Class 3. And 6B is looking like number 8 seed Clover Hill. Not 1 8 seed, but 2 8 seeds pulled the upsets in the opening round of the high school baseball VHSL tournaments. Clover Hill beat Cosby 7-5, so they'll take on the 4 seed Colonial Forge, while 3 seed James River will play the 7 seed Riverbend. Riverbend knocking out number 2 seed Thomas Dale 11-3. So you have an 8, a 7, a 3, and a 4 alive in Region 6B. The 2 representatives from there will go on to the state tournament and play in the quarterfinals, the 2 reps from Region 6A here out of Tidewater. And before we take a break and come back with Region 4, Region 3, and even a couple of teams will sprinkle in from Region 2, Region 1, maybe throw in some softball notes too. Region 5A playing today at War Memorial Stadium. Reese Nobles has you covered with updates throughout the day and night for VirginiaPreps.com. Follow him on Twitter at Nobles Reese. That's Nobles, Nobles, Reese, Reese. He'll have recaps up later on VirginiaPreps.com. We had him on the 757 at 6 this week. He is our resident high school baseball correspondent at VirginiaPreps.com. And games throughout the day, you have number 1 seed Hickory at 19-1 overall, taking on the number 8 seed Nansemond River, 15-6. Maybe Ed's over there helping out Mark Stufel. Actually, I think Mark Stufel wants him as far away as possible. He will screw things up if he gets near the... He'll be having guys trying to bunt.
What's the baseball equivalent of throw the Hail Mary on 4th and 1?
For
that's
him,
what coach is calling for.
He's probably wanting to do a suicide squeeze with the bases. Who knows? He'll do something crazy. All kinds of infield shifts and having guys that are infielders in the outfield and outfielders in the infield. Who knows? Like I said, Mark Stufel wants to keep him as far away as possible. Maury, the number 4 seed, taking on the number 5 seed Salem out of Virginia Beach. They're both 15-5 overall. Number 3 seed Menchville, 17-3. And you guys last week had on Phil Forbes, who we also talked to back in March. Nice story in the Daily Press. Check it out by Marty O'Brien. Might be running in the pilot too, I'm not quite sure, on the Forbes family. His son, who's an assistant coach, the grandson P5, who is going to James Madison University. So check that out as Menchville tries to give their longtime coach Phil Forbes another state tournament appearance. I think they've made 3 in a row. This would be their 3rd or 4th in a row. Playing Gloucester, who is no ordinary 6th seed at 15-5 overall. And the number 2 seed Hampton Crabbers, we've had their coach on before, Danny Mitchell, good friend of the program. Longtime baseball coach, which the field is named after over there at Hampton High. They're 17-1, certainly one of the favorites off their 16-0 start. Only loss was to Woodside this year, while the 17-1 Crabbers, the 2 seed, taking on the number 7 seed Princess Anne Cavaliers at 14-6 overall. They're a sneaky team as well, so Region 5A, very deep and competitive. We'll take a timeout. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. We got more scores, interviews, and reaction from you all throughout the morning right here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com, and it's only on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
No Coach Ed Young today. He is on assignment. We're also going to reschedule Darren Sandlin, head basketball coach now at the Kempsville Chiefs, family situation he's dealing with. So we'll talk to Darren either on next week's High School Sports Talk or perhaps on the 757 at 6. And if we do on the weeknight show, we'll probably play it back here on the High School Sports Talk for those of you that have the high school sports appetite. So hope everything is all right for Darren there. Right now here on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com, Matt Hatfield here with you, Thomas Simmons as well. We were telling you about scores across the area for high school baseball here on ESPN Radio 94.1. And now let's fire up the scoreboard again as we go through Region 4A and 3A locally here as they have games coming up on Monday, Memorial Day, for the high school baseball scene. You have coming up the Deep Creek Hornets, the number 9 seed. They're playing the top-seeded Grafton Clippers, who are 17-3 overall. They beat Deep Creek, did Smithfield, the number 8 seed, 5-3. That's why Keith hasn't called in yet, Thomas. Usually he's calling in before we even arrive, like at 8:12 in the morning. But it's a tough week for him on the Packers side and on another team that is near and dear to his heart, which we'll get to in a little bit. So Deep Creek, 5-14 overall, but you know what? They're still alive. They got Grafton coming up. Winner of that game moves on to the semifinals. We'll take on the winner of the 4-5 matchup with Wilson and Lafayette. The presidents of Wilson High at 12-8, Lafayette at 13-7 overall. War Hill, they're 9-12, but they're still alive after blanking Heritage 14-0. The number 10 seeded Hurricanes out of Newport News, they're done. So War Hill, the number 7 seed, playing a perennial power, and number 2 seed Great Bridge, 15-5 on the year. Remember, they got that big win in a public-private school matchup over at Harbor Park over Greenbrier Christian, which reached the state semifinals in the private school VISAA tournament. Great Bridge looking to be a strong contender out of Region 4A. And then you have Jamestown, the number 3 seed at 13-6 overall, and number 6 seed Churchland, 11-9 overall. The Truckers, very dangerous and formidable too. They did beat Maury earlier this year in high school baseball. Lost them the second time, but knowing that they beat Maury you got to feel good about their chances to be in position against a really strong Jamestown bunch that is used to going to the state tournament in high school baseball. By the way, speaking of Jamestown Churchland, they also have a big soccer match coming up on Tuesday. That number 1 ranked Jamestown team that we highlighted a couple weeks ago, Thomas, which is like number 3 in the country on USA Today. They play Churchland on Tuesday in the regional soccer for boys soccer. Churchland got a 7-0 win last night, so they'll be moving on to take them. A couple of matchups on Monday and Tuesday with Jamestown and Churchland for Region 4A. By the way, the final 4 teams standing in Region 4B, who the teams from Tidewater will take on. You have Hanover, the number 1 seed in Richmond, playing the number 4 seed Cortland in the semifinals for Region 4B, while on the bottom half of the bracket, number 7 seed Dinwiddie, the Generals, known for their football prowess, will be playing number 3 seed Midlothian. Midlothian knocking out Patrick Henry of Ashland 10-1 in the quarterfinals. What about Region 3A? Well, we told you why Keith hasn't called in. Smithfield took an L, and so did, Thomas, his Southampton Indians. Maybe Ed's the jinx. It can't be me. It's got to be Ed. We had on the coach a couple weeks ago. They've been playing so well. In fact, Southampton put it on Petersburg 21-1. Yes, 21-1 in the quarterfinals, but they played Tab yesterday, and it was all Tigers 11-4 as Tab is heading on to the championship game of Region 3A. I believe it's their first state berth in about 16 years or so, something of that nature. They're 18-3 on the year. Great year for the Tab Tigers. And they'll be playing the number 1 seeded Parkview Dragons from South Hill up in Emporia. Parkview, a couple of squeakers for them. They shut out number 8 seed Lakeland 1-0, and Lakeland was just 4-16 on the year coming into that game. And then yesterday they edged Colonial Heights, the number 5 seed. It was Parkview 4, Colonial Heights 3, setting up a 21-1 Parkview, taking on an 18-3 Tab and a 1-2 Region Baseball Championship matchup. And no matter what happens in that game, both teams moving on to the state playoffs for VHSL baseball in Class 3. The teams from Region 3B still alive are Brentsville District, the number 1 seed, which shut out Manassas Park in the opening round. William Monroe, the number 4 seed, which shut out Thomas Jefferson of Richmond in the opening round. Warren County, the number 2 seed, which shut out John Marshall in the opening round. Yeah, pitching's dominating in that region. And the number 6 seed Culpeper Blue Devils, they beat Spotsylvania 5-3 in its quarterfinal matchup. So that's the update there for high school baseball when it comes to Regions 3A and 4A. Yet we still have a couple of teams flying around in Region 2A and Region 1A to give you the skinny on that. How about the Poquoson Islanders? This is the beauty or the ugliness, depending on how you view it, of the new realignment system that went into effect in 2013-2014. Back when we had AAA, AA, and Single A, you couldn't be 5-14 and still have a chance to go to the state tournament because you probably wouldn't have got in. Well, now with the new setup, you get in. And Poquoson, which was 5-14 in baseball, Thomas, they've won their last 2 games by a combined total in baseball of 51-5. They smashed Maggie Walker Governor School 27-4 in the opening round, and then they beat top-seeded Goochland. 14-6 on the year Goochland was. They beat top-seeded Goochland 24-1. We got to bring the mercy rule. Nobody wants to watch a baseball game that's 20-0 or 25-1. I'm sorry. I know that playoffs, it's different. We don't need to see it. Once you're up 15, 20 runs, they're not coming back. And I'm talking about the team that's trailing and the fans that are walking out the door. They're not coming back because they're going home. The game is over. Nonetheless, it'll be Poquoson, the number 8 seed, playing the number 4 seed Nandua, which doubled up Bluestone, the 5th seeded Barons of Bluestone, 4-2. It'll be Poquoson, Nandua in the semifinals, and it'll be Randolph Henry playing King William in the other semifinal. The winners go on to the state tournament and will face each other in the Region 2A championship game. Bruton out of Williamsburg fell to Randolph Henry 5-1 in the quarterfinals, which finished up a 5-17 year for the Panthers. And in Region 1A, we do have some small schools that are diehard listeners to us here on ESPN Radio 94.1 and throughout the state on VirginiaPreps.com. And trust me, I know folks because they come up to me at different venues and events, and I'm at even basketball games, and say that they are loyal listeners to the program, and we appreciate all you small school fans and listeners out there. They are down to their final 4 in Class 1 Region A, the last 4 teams standing. Lancaster, the Red Devils, who won a state boys basketball championship back in 2018. Number 4 seed Essex, also out of the Northern Neck District. And then a couple more from Northern Neck, Tidewater District areas. West Point, the 11 seed, and Colonial Beach, the number 7 seed. Colonial Beach, the number 7 seed, shut out and eliminated number 2 seeded Windsor 5-0. So the Dukes of Windsor done at 11-8 this year. Number 11 seed West Point beat the number 3 seed Washington and Lee 8-6. While in the upper half of the bracket, it was Lancaster shutting out Matthews, the number 9 seed, by a count of 4-0. And Essex, the number 4 seed, getting rid of Surrey, the number 5 seed, 10-3. Surrey's season coming to a close at 9-9 this year. We know their boys basketball program at Surrey High School won themselves a state championship. And there you have it, the scores from all across the Hampton Roads area and connected from last night in the 7-5-7. A couple of the quick nuggets for you in other sports. We won't have time to go through all the scores because it would take us literally an hour and a half and the show would be over. We wouldn't have time for guests. Just some highlights for you, if you will. Boys soccer in Region 4A, Grafton beating Great Bridge 5-4. Sounds like that was a great game. In softball, it was Ocean Lakes edging Tallwood 4-3. Kellam beating Woodside 2-1. Western Branch shutting out Granby 4-0. And in 3A, Parkview finished off Tab 4-0. Tab's been pretty good over the years, defending state champs, in fact, last year. So they go out in the semifinals. Tab's season is done. So a couple of little quick highlight nuggets there for you. And on girls tennis, team tennis, Lancetown a winner over Kellam 5-2 as they look to be one of the top contenders in Region 6A for girls tennis. We're going to take another timeout. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. That's area code 757-687-9494. We got playback clips with Maury running back C.J. Beasley, who committed to the Virginia Tech Hokies last night. His coach, Dyrri McCain, who talks about that and more, as well as Glenwood Ferebee of Indian River, Tony Grimes from Princess Anne. When we come back, though, we'll be talking softball with the coach of the Churchland Truckers. That is Matt Arrington right here on your high school sports connection. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
We thank you for spending your Memorial Day weekend with us here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Matt Hatfield flying solo in the main room here today, as the coach, Ed Young, is not with us today on assignment. At this time, though, we have a special guest with us. He is the third-year head softball coach of the Churchland Truckers, who I believe check in at 13-6 overall. Got a game coming up on Monday in the Regional 4A softball tournament against their Portsmouth rival, Woodrow Wilson. We say good morning and congrats on a great season thus far to Coach Matt Arrington. Coach, how's your weekend going so far?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for having me on. How's y'all's weekend going?
Doing well. Can't complain. Pleasure having you on the program. I think I got 13-6 the record for your team going into the regional game?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, let's go through this if we can. And we had you on about a year or two ago, I know. Give us some of your background. We know you're in year 3 at the helm of the program, but where you went to school, high school, college days, how you got into coaching, taking us up to your current situation now with this Churchland program.
Yeah, so I got into coaching, coaching our kids over at the Little League right across the street from the high school. And my assistant coach is with me now. The group of girls we have at the high school, we were coaching them, back when they were 9, 10, 11 years old, and just working their way up. Then a couple of years ago, I got a call from a couple of the parents saying that the varsity softball coach at the high school was looking to step down. So they wanted somebody to step up and take that role over. So I thought that'd be a good fit for me since we were doing so well, with the younger group. So go ahead and get in the high school at the varsity level while I could. And then as our girls got older and made it up that way, then hopefully we would be successful when they got there. And that's how it turned out so far.
Did you know pretty early on that you wanted to get into coaching, or did it something that just kind of come to you spur of the moment as you got done with the school days?
Nah, just spur of the moment. And my assistant coach is the same way. I mean, we both played when we were younger. And then, when you have kids and they start getting up and start competing, you want to help them as best as you can. So coaching, it came kind of naturally to me since we were used to competing anyway. So.
What's been the key to this program being consistently able to contend the last couple of years? I know before your arrival, Churchland softball had not really been as strong. What would you attribute the success to?
The group of girls that we have, there's 7 of them that are on the team right now that they've been playing together since they were, 10, 11 years old. And over the last 3 years since I've been at the high school, we've been doing a lot of off-season conditioning. So we'll keep rolling even when, softball season is over. We do workouts 3 or 4 times a week. And also this past fall season was the first time we had enough girls interested in putting together a fall softball team where we would go out and play against some of the local schools. So that helped some of our younger girls who haven't had that varsity experience yet. That helped them a whole lot, get used to playing that level of competition before the season got here.
We're chatting with Matt Arrington, the third-year head softball coach of the Churchland Truckers in Portsmouth. 13-6 on the season. They've won 5 of their last 6 games as they head into the regional tournament, taking on their city rival Wilson coming up on Monday. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. We'll take a closer examination of your matchup with the Presidents coming up here, Coach. But what time is that game on Monday for people that want to go out and check it out?
1 p.m.
Okay, so 1 o'clock in the afternoon, go out there, get you a burger or a dog, and watch the action. What's that?
At Churchland High School.
It'll be at Churchland High School, so you get a chance to host in the regional tournament. What seed are you by chance?
4. You're the 4 seed.
You're the 4 seed, so if you move on there, you could see potentially the number 1 seed. Let's review your year here for a second. I know early on you took some losses to Gloucester, Lakeland, no slouches, but then you started to hit a hot streak. What was kind of the big turnaround for your team after the slow start, and what got you going? Was it more the offense, the pitching, a little bit of both?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. So starting the season, so our starting pitcher from last year, she missed the first 5 games of this season due to an injury.
Okay.
So we were kind of, shuffling around trying to figure out who was going to be our go-to pitcher when she was out. Of course, anytime you have to, replace the pitcher, that also takes away from your defense. So our pitchers that had been pitching was our starting, third baseman and our starting shortstop. So it kind of pulled away from our defense a little bit. And also hitting. We struggled early on trying to find the right lineup. Who's going to be our leadoff, who's going to bat clean up, who can help turn the batting order at the bottom of the lineup. So we struggled a little bit until we finally hit our groove, and everyone got settled into where they would be playing, where they would be at in the lineup, and then we got on a roll from there.
Playing some larger classification schools, I'll look at your schedule here, and you play within your district, in the Eastern District, the likes of Granby and Maury, you have to, and Norview, they're all either 6s or 5s, but you even played some teams outside the Eastern District with Princess Anne and Salem, who are also Class 5, Cox, who's Class 6. So you scheduled some good competition throughout. Did that help your team as you went on this journey, and do you think it'll also translate to the playoffs here coming up?
Yeah, it helped us out a lot, and I'm hoping it'll translate to this regional playoff round. We get a lot of flack. The Eastern District isn't as strong as it used to be. So I try to schedule out of conference or out of district, as tough as I can. So in the Eastern District, we had to play Granby twice. I had to play Maury twice, Norview twice. Those are some bigger schools. But, out of district, we scheduled against Kempsville. We played them really well. Lost a tough game to them. We played, Cox, Princess Anne, Gloucester, Salem, as you mentioned. So I try to get as tough of a schedule as I can, and luckily we were able to win most of those games this year.
As a coach, do you like that setup where you're kind of required to play teams in your district twice? And what's the allotment? I think that you're allowed to play, is it 20 games maximum for a regular season?
Yeah, that's correct. 20 games max. We try to get there, have some scheduling conflicts. One of the teams in our district actually didn't even have a team this year. So, we were scrambling, trying to find other teams,
That's
to play
right.
us.
Yeah.
Once the season starts, it's hard to get a hold of another solid program to play because they're usually already booked up. But so that kind of hurt us to where we couldn't get that 20th game scheduled. But we played enough competition to where I feel we're right at where we need to be. So we should be good going into Monday.
Well, let me get your take. We'll get to your players here in a second in this matchup with Wilson, talking with Matt Arrington, the head softball coach of the Churchland Truckers, with us here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Not trying to put your feet to the fire, but I'm just curious for your opinion and thoughts. Do you like that 20-game maximum? Would you like to see it increase, decrease, and anything you'd like to see in the sport around here changed or addressed?
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, I always want to play more. I mean, I play 40, 50 games if they would let me. But yeah, I mean, and our season is kind of short too, you know. We usually start around the second or third week of March, and then they try to wrap it up, you know, right before, you know, school lets out. So it kind of, you know, the short couple of months, the 2.5 months that you have to, you know, to schedule all your games and to get your practices in, you know, it's kind of, it's a tight time frame to get all that. And plus, you know, being an outside sport, you're at the mercy of Mother Nature, you know, dealing with, you know, weather, inclement weather and all that. So, I mean, it would be nice to extend the season a couple of weeks, but, I mean, that's not my decision to make.
Understand completely here. Well, let's talk about some of these young ladies who have contributed to your 13 wins and counting. Pitchers, hitters, and any with college potential for you, be it seniors or underclassmen, that you'd like to highlight for us.
Yeah, I have a senior that I would definitely like to get out there, Mackenzie Vick. She's got a couple, you know, small offers from smaller schools, but we kind of get looked over, you know, being that we're in the Eastern District. But yeah, I just hope that you know us scheduling this strong out of conference play against these bigger schools, and we go out there, and I mean, she's been killing it this season. She's a 4-year varsity player. For her 4-year batting average is over 550, and this year is 597. Yeah, right under 600. She's got 4 or 5 home runs again this year. She has a hit in every single game we play this year. So in 19 games, she's got 40 base hits, and she's got at least 1 hit in every single game.
She's got to be up for some postseason awards, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Her slugging average is over 1,000. On base percentage is right at 700. She's averaging one strikeout every 19 at bat. So I mean that's not pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good there. Who else besides Mackenzie has been a factor for you?
So we had some of our younger girls step up. In that. So we only have 4 seniors. I don't have any juniors on my team. So we have a very young team. In the outfield, we have a center fielder. She also runs track for the track team. Her name is Kira Stanley. She qualified for states in the fall in the track team. So she's in the 4x800. So I mean, when she gets on base, I mean she's burning them up on base. In the outfield, I mean she runs down to everything in the outfield for us. And then, like I say, our starting pitcher wasn't able, to go the first 4 or 5 games this season, and then she struggled getting back. And so we had 2 younger girls step in, 2 freshmen, Caitlin Covey, which is Mackenzie's little sister, and then Kyla Arrington, who stepped up. And, they've been pitching, most of the games for us. So anytime our starting pitcher can't go, or she's starting off a little rough, we bring in either Caitlin or Kyla to get us through the games. And, I mean, they did a terrific job this year stepping up on short notice.
You mentioned Kyla Arrington. Any relation?
Yeah, she's mine. She's my daughter.
Okay. How's that for you as a dad and coach? Has it been a learning process, stressful, totally enjoy it, no problem at all? How would you evaluate it?
Nah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I've been doing it long enough. I mean, she might think I'm a little bit, too tough on her, but I try to treat all of them the same. So most of these girls I've been coaching for the last, I've only been at the high school for 3 years, but prior to that, like I say, I was coaching. And 7, 8 of these girls, have been, under either myself or my assistant coach for the last 7 years. So, I mean, we're pretty much like a family, so we get along really well.
That's great. A couple more minutes here with Matt Arrington, the head softball coach of the Churchland Truckers, who checked in at 13-6 overall after their season finale win over Booker T. Washington 23-6, and they'll be playing host to Wilson going out there Monday at 1 o'clock at Churchland High School in the Region 4A softball tournament. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. If I see it correctly, Coach, you split with Wilson this year, doubled them up 10-5 back on April the 3rd. Just lost to them 3-1 back here on the 15th of May. 10 days ago. Your thoughts on the matchup and what does Wilson present to your team challenge-wise?
Yeah, I mean, so anytime you play a rival, it's always a tough game, regardless, if it's high scoring or low scoring. The energy's always there. The other team is always in it. We're always in it, battling back and forth on the field, the fans. I mean, it's a pretty rowdy game anytime we get together. So it'll definitely be, a show for anybody who plans on coming out and watching. And as you said, we played them twice, split with them. Had a little rough. So at the end of the season, we hit I don't want to say our wall, but we had the last 2 weeks of the season. We were playing, I think it was 8 games in the last 2 weeks. It took a toll on us. Not to use that as an excuse for our girls because we're always ready. But, I mean, hopefully we'll come out swinging the bat a little bit better on Monday. And it should be a good game if anybody wants to come watch.
Yeah, and this too, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, softball, you name it. Sometimes when there's a possibility of playing a team in the first round of the playoffs or in postseason play in the season with them or one of your last game or two, sometimes the coach doesn't always show his hand. So I imagine you and your girls, as well as their girls, knew there was a possibility you could see them a third time.
Yeah, that's correct. You got that. Hit that right on the head.
Well, Coach, we wish you and your squad all the best. Congrats on the great year so far. Going out there 1 o'clock in Portsmouth at Churchland High School to be Churchland and Wilson for the softball Region 4A tournament. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
All right, thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Matt Arrington, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com, the head softball coach of the Churchland Lady Truckers. 13-6 on the year, having a fine season, and look to advance in the region tournament if they can defeat Wilson on Monday. Before we take a time out, we have on the line, it looks like the one, the only, the Smithfield living legend himself, Keith. I'm so famous, I don't even need a last name. Keith, good morning. How are you? Did you sleep well last night?
I slept a little bit. My last name is my last name is Holloman.
Holloman. Whoa! We need breaking news, Thomas. We just got a breaking news. Keith just dropped breaking news.
94.1. Breaking news.
Keith Holloman. So you just told us your last name. Now, do you want to be known as just Keith, or do you want us to introduce you now as Keith Holloman?
Keith Holloman.
Keith Holloman. How about that? Wait till Ed finds this out. Ed's gonna fall off whatever roller coaster he's always on a roller coaster. What am I talking about? But wow, that you got me shocked, Keith. I'm almost speechless.
Yes, sir. I just want to give out notice to the Smithfield Pirates baseball team for the outstanding year for the guys. They coach them guys donate me Smithfield a cup. I would thank those guys that donated me a cup with my name on my cup too.
Wait, they gave you a cup with your name on it?
Yeah, baseball. It's like
that's pretty cool.
And I appreciate it to the guys. Thank them for all things that they done for them guys. And it was a heartbreaking loss, man. They lost against Deep Creek, and it came to the end.
Tough loss for them, 5-3 against Deep Creek. But like you said, great young men over there learning and progressing. And that touch of Keith, you can't walk away. These young men love you over there at Smithfield. Now, did the cup say Keith on it or Keith Holloman?
Keith.
Oh, so they didn't get the last name. See, now everybody's gonna know your last name. They're gonna introduce you as Mr. Holloman.
Yes, sir. And also to keep pumping up, our girls softball team is advancing to Monday to play Monday.
Okay, who do they got Monday? I don't have the schedule in front of me. Do you have it?
I don't know who they're playing Monday.
We're gonna look it up here as we chat. So they're moving on to the Monday's tournament. You just heard Churchland, so there's a possibility you could run into them at some point in this tournament now, Keith.
Yes, sir. And we'll take one game at a time. I tell them, girls, take one game at a time. You can't overlook nobody.
Well, you can't take 2 games at a time, because if you take 2 games at a time, you might lose the one game you're trying to take at a time. So that's always proper thinking for sure.
Yes, and also the boys soccer team in Smithfield. I didn't know that. They didn't get the results of their game last night. They played Grafton, and the boys played Grafton.
The boys soccer team from last night? Let's see what we have here. They played Grafton. I don't have a result from that. Now, are you sure they played Grafton? Because I'm showing the boys soccer team online played War Hill, and I don't have a result for that.
I think somebody was saying they were playing Grafton.
All right, we'll have to do some investigating on that.
The girls playing Grafton, the boys playing War Hill.
That could be right. Let me peruse here the interwebs, the online material to see what we have on that with the soccer program here for the boys and for the. Well, it hasn't been updated on the VHSL site since then, so we're going to have to just check around here for that on the soccer notes for the Smithfield Packers boys and girls here. So give me a couple minutes as we look for that. Real quickly, though, what do you think about the Eastern Conference Finals? You got the Raptors or the Bucks?
The Toronto Raptors.
You're going with the Toronto Raptors.
At the end of the night, they're going to face the Golden State Warriors in Game 1.
They're going to face the Golden State Warriors.
Golden State Warriors. I think somebody can beat Golden State in the final.
You think somebody can?
Somebody can beat Golden State Warriors in the final.
Are you saying that based on Kevin Durant being out? And by the way, real quickly, we got a bulletin. Smithfield girls beat Grafton 2-1. I do not have a boys score. I'm still looking for that, Keith, so bear with me. I'll maybe have it for you later in the show. But the girls did get a win, 2-1 over Grafton last night. And what were you saying about the Bucks, though, and the Warriors? Go ahead.
I think if one of those teams out there can handle the Warriors, if Milwaukee would win the series, I think Milwaukee can get Golden State a problem.
Is that because of Greek Freak?
Greek Freak. I don't think they go back and match them against the Greek Freak.
Keith, for a Virginia Preps T-shirt, can you pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Combo.
He didn't do it. Sorry, Keith. I'm gonna get you a T-shirt anyway, but I couldn't get you there. It's a hard name to spell or pronounce, isn't it?
Yes,
it's just easier to call him Greek Freak. It's easier to call him Greek Freak.
I got him Greek Freak.
So much easier.
Yes, and I was so disappointed yesterday. I was so shocked. My former team, Southampton, they went down yesterday. And,
it was a tough loss. And you know what? They had a good year. But, Keith, I'm blaming it on Ed because we know I'm not the jinx. It's got to be Coach Young. He's the one that set up the interview with the coach. And I think it's Coach Young's fault is what I really believe. Yeah,
it was a tough loss. He got a lot of guys coming back, Coach Jenkins got a lot of guys coming back. And plus, they got the JV program. It's coming up, and they're gonna be back next year. They don't sleep on Southampton like that. They'll be back next year.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. I mean, they're gonna stay in the mix. It's just that round has been tough for them. Last year it was York. This year it ends up being Tab, and Tab's got a good program. And you wish they could have saved some of them 21 runs. And unfortunately, baseball doesn't work that way, where you can save some of the runs for another week. But you wish they could have saved some of those runs for the game against Tab that they lost 11-4 after putting up 21 on the board against Petersburg.
Yes, two more things I've got.
What you got?
Southampton's still looking for a football coach. I think they ain't got one yet. I ain't heard enough from them yet. It's a coaching job over there.
Well, wasn't Littleton Parker there? Did he leave again?
I think he's stepping down. He's stepping down. He's not there no more.
All right, so you're doing a scoop for us there.
Yes, and the last thing I got there, I'm thinking about might be possibly moving back over there Southampton. It might be possibly moving back.
Well, you can move wherever you want as long as you continue to call in this show, whether it's Keith Holloman, or Mr. Holloman, all right?
Yes, sir.
Have a good weekend, Keith. Don't play with fireworks, okay?
Okay, I ain't gonna play with it. Y'all have a nice day.
You too. That's the one and only Keith Holloman here on High School Sports Talk. Thomas, you'd have given me 50 guesses. I would have never guessed his last name was Holloman. He scooped us on that one. And I know he's hurting for Billy Jenkins and the Southampton Indians baseball team. Had a good year, tough loss for them. And we're going to look for that boys soccer score there. Ed missed breaking news this morning. See, he missed out all the fun. And we mentioned a couple weeks ago as we get ready to go to break here about Riverheads High School. You heard Coach Young and I talk about it a couple weeks back, how Thad Wheeler for football, and Keith made me think of this, had left War Hill to become the coach at Riverheads, and then he stepped down. And I had mentioned on our message boards, those message board fans, they know what's up. I mean, they sometimes know, Thomas, and you know this with Penn State too. Sometimes the fans know more what's up than us in the know and the media and the people that are reporters and covering these teams. People sit on the boards. Robert Casto's going to come back. He's won 6 state titles, whatever it is. He's a legendary coach. He left too early. Well, Coach Casto announced, I believe it was this past week, he's coming back for at least 3 more years, which means he'll have 3 more cracks to add to his ring totals. They've won 3 in a row at Riverhead. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that are feeling that this was basically in the know, and that forced Wheeler. Who knows? It's one of those things that you can speculate. Nobody really knows unless you're at Riverheads or you talk to the message board people because they know what's going on. That's why you got to stay in the know and read the VirginiaPreps.com message boards. We come on back. We got some interviews. We'll take your calls too at 757-687-9494. We got Matt Ittner, head coach of the Cox Falcons baseball program, coming up later on. And hit us up on Twitter too at HS Sports Talk 941. It's on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 on this Memorial Day weekend. And remember what Memorial Day is all about, remembering and honoring the people who died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. So go out there and say thank you to someone that served and veterans out there. It's a great holiday, and spend it with some family and friends, and try to be safe out there, everybody. I am Matt Hatfield. We got Thomas Simmons on the side of the glass. No Coach Ed Young today. He is preparing diligently for the start of basketball season, which is 6-7 months away. So I guess it's too much on his plate for him to stop by. Maybe we'll hear from him before the show's over. You know, he just missed the breaking news we had of Keith from Smithfield revealing his last name of Holloman. If you missed that, you can hear it later on our replay archived on VirginiaPreps.com. Also, the head softball coach of the Churchland Truckers, Matt Arrington, we thank him for stopping by. The phone lines remain open all throughout the morning until noon today at 757-687-9494. That's area code 757-687-9494. Anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, high school sports is our main specialty and our theme each and every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon here on ESPN Radio 94.1. But if you want to veer off the beaten path for a moment or two, we allow you to do so as long as you keep it clean. And keeping it clean to Jersey, it's going to be hard to keep people from this guy getting in the big-time rushing lanes and running for 150, 200 yards this year. He is just a great running back at Maury High School. C.J. Beasley, over 2,000 all-purpose yards. In fact, over 2,400 all-purpose yards this past year. We caught up with him yesterday as he picked the Hokies of Virginia Tech over Pitt and Tennessee, and here's what he told us about his pick, as well as what's on tap for him this year with the Commodores. Let's give it a listen now on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with Maury's Christopher C.J. Beasley as he makes his college choice today, the Virginia Tech Hokies over double-digit offers. He narrowed it down to 3 schools with Pittsburgh and Tennessee as the finalists. C.J., now it's over. You're going to be a Hokie. How's it feel?
It feels amazing. It's like just knowing that I'm good, I'm set. It just all happened so fast. It's just amazing.
Up there on the stage, you got your mom, your dad, your brother, and your sister, and you watch the reaction of your classmates and your teammates as you announce the Hokies. What's kind of the feeling going through your mind and your body as you see the roar of everybody in the auditorium?
While I was up there, I was like, if you couldn't tell, I was really nervous. But my mom was like, calm down, you're good, just take these breaths in and out. And my dad was like, you got it, son. And then when I was saying my speech, kind of messed up a little bit, but I played it off. And when I picked up the hat, the first hat I picked up, everybody started jumping. Yeah,
you picked it. Was it Tennessee at first? Yeah, everybody thought, he's going to the SEC.
And then that's when I put it down and put on the Virginia Tech, and then just everybody started roaring. It was amazing.
When you have the Hokie hat on now, you're going to stay home. When did you know Virginia Tech? You obviously have checked out schools. How many did you end up going to visit unofficially, or how many did you go see?
Unofficially, about 6.
Okay. What was it about Virginia Tech that was different? When did you know the Hokies would be your home?
It really hit me like 2 weeks ago. But when I went there, I just felt at home, like everything felt perfect. Like the fans and the vibe that I got there, I just knew that was the place.
What was it was a mixture of vibes. You know, Armani Chapman, that goes by Black from the 757s up there. The coaching staff, you went up there. What was was it a mixture of everything? What was the vibe you got from them?
It was a unique vibe. That's what I could say is. When me and Black was talking, we was chilling, I was like, he made me feel comfortable. He made me feel like that was like the place. So I had to talk over it with my family, and we all agreed that I was going to make that home.
Yeah, what did Justin Fuente and the coaching staff there, Zon Byrne recruits the area pretty hard too. What did they say they like about your game and feel like you can bring to Blacksburg?
They love that I'm explosive, my speed. I could make people miss in the backfield. I won't get tackled by just one person. They could use me for more than just running back. They could put me on special teams. They could put me in a slot, and I could do numerous things.
Sure.
And catching the ability.
Yeah. You really had a breakout junior season. I mean, this Maury team was explosive last year, getting to the state playoffs for the first time, I think, since 1972, the passing game. But you flew under the radar for a little bit, over 2,000 all-purpose yards. When did you kind of know? Did you kind of know how long you had the ability, or was it your confidence grew as the year went on?
I knew I had the ability. I just needed, to put it all in one. Because my freshman year, I had the vision, but I wasn't as explosive. I worked on my explosive. I was explosive, but I started to lose my vision. So I had to get the coach, and the coach taught me how to just put it all in one, make the right reads and the cuts and jukes, and not to get tackled by one person, and put it all together and just, bam, it happened.
Sure, more for you. Any backs, could be Hokie backs, that you kind of study and try to model your game after, or anybody growing up you watched that you kind of took things from and put into your game that, well, maybe you see this fall and beyond in college?
I mean, for real, not just for running back, for quarterback, Michael Vick. Okay. I seen the way he ran. He ran fast and hard, explosive, and he had power in his legs. and we was going against like when he was in the NFL. He was running, and two people tried to tackle him, like ran past him and tackled each other. I just knew right then and there I'm trying to be like that. I'm trying to be explosive.
Trying to be the split guy, be the home run hitter, if you will, for the offense. For you, what do you want to major in at Virginia Tech? Have you figured that out, what you're going to study when you get there?
I want to be an accountant, and not just an accountant, like an entertaining accountant. So just in case, like a backup plan after football, I can like be an accountant. I can still be in a football game, but it's also something I love, which is an accountant. So all together in one.
Going to make his money for sure. Might be on Sundays too. Last two for you now. I understand there's this guy that goes to Maury High School by the name of Keandre Lambert who has the Hokies high on his list. Are you making your pitch to him to join you in Blacksburg?
I'm really leaving it to Dre.
Okay.
I mean, he's my friend, so of course I'm going to come with me, but it's deep down to him where he wants to go, so I'm going to let him do that.
Right. So you're in his ear, but you're not telling him. Okay. Yeah. And lastly, for this team, you had a great year. What's in store for this coming season? You win the region, surprise a lot of folks. Now you know there's the talk of can this team take the state championship test like the basketball team did, and you guys have the ingredients, do you not?
Yes, we do. This time we're coming a lot harder. Practice has been switched up. We know what we have to do now to win the state title, and we're not just going to let it slip out of our hands this time.
That's C.J. Beasley. You'll see him on Friday nights for Maury High School, and then on Saturdays in Blacksburg for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Congrats, and thank you so much.
Thanks.
There you have it, C.J. Beasley, who this past year rushed for 1,778 yards and 19 touchdowns on 147 attempts. That's an average of 12.1 yards per carry, had 2,409 all-purpose yards and 23 touchdowns, catching the ball, running the ball, returning kicks and punts. He committed to Virginia Tech over Pitt and Tennessee yesterday. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Two more quick bullets before we go to break here, Thomas. Keandre Lambert, who we had in studio last year, was Sheridan Jones, the Clemson commit. Sheridan Jones, Keandre Lambert, the four-star wide receiver, known from many people as the nephew of Cam Chancellor. I think he's going to make a name for his own self, and people talking about Cam as Keandre Lambert's uncle. He has an official visit scheduled for Penn State June the 6th in Happy Valley.
Go ahead and lock it up.
Well, you
Get
would
him out
think
to the
so.
last bash. That's that.
You would think there's a good chance of that, but I'm reading that Clemson is very much in the picture, and they've got a couple
already got
local
full
players.
class. They already turned down the number 3
there.
pass rusher in the nation because they had 1 and 2.
Well, they do have 12 wide receivers on their roster. However, I think they just got a really good quarterback, so quarterback come out of there. And if you read the crystal balls, they're early. You know, Uncle Cam went to Virginia Tech. His teammate here, Beasley, goes to Virginia Tech. If the Hokies get him, I know there's a possibility Justin Fuente's on the hot seat. Maybe that really gets Hokie Nation jumping and has a domino effect with a lot more recruits coming in. They've just got 4 so far, and it is early. It's only late May. Noah Kim, the other in-state commit, the quarterback from Westfield High, who Oscar Smith has run into in the state playoffs before. By the way, kudos to Lambert on this as well. Earlier this week, we announced it on the 757 at 6 that he's committed to play in the Hall of Fame World Bowl in Mexico City in December. It's a showcase for some of the top seniors, much like the Under Armour game and the Army All-American game. And another little nugget for a Maury athlete this week, Chase Coleman, who helped Maury to their first state basketball championship in nearly 100 years. We interviewed him a couple of times during the year on High School Sports Talk here, as well as the 757 at 6. He had interest from a lot of Ivy schools. Columbia, I know, was looking at him. Howard was looking at him. Virginia State had offered him Division II with Lonnie Blow, the former coach from Granby High, who also coached college at ODU and Norfolk State. Chase is taking a preferred walk-on at UVA with the defending national champion Cavaliers. So we'll see. Chase will get on the floor for Tony Bennett Company, and we'll see what's in store for him at the next level. We know about older brother Matt Coleman playing for Texas. Well, Chase will stay in-state, going to Charlottesville. So there you have it. More to do here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Well, there's no Coach Ed Young on this Saturday morning, the final Saturday of the month of May for 2019. I am Matt Hatfield. Thomas Simmons with me on the other side of the glass. And Thomas, Ed's hope to get some runs on the board for Nansemond River baseball has not worked out. They're scoreless, bottom of the 5th right now at War Memorial Stadium. For updates, you can follow Reese Nobles at Nobles Reese. That's Nobles Reese, Reese, and read his work on VirginiaPreps.com throughout the weekend. Back to the high school football scene, and we caught up recently at a 7-on-7 that had hordes of people out there for in Chesapeake. Indian River and Oscar Smith were going at it. They also had Great Bridge out there, First Colonial, some other schools, Booker T. Washington too. Glenwood Ferebee, head football coach of the Braves of Indian River. They have 4 players currently committed to college, and he speaks about them and more with us. We hear it now on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with the head football coach of the Indian River Braves, Glenwood Ferebee, the reigning Southeastern District champs. And, Coach, even though it is just off-season and 7-on-7, quite a crowd for you and Oscar Smith. I mean, you just said to me you could be playing kickball and there be people here for it.
Yeah, you definitely play kickball, softball, anything when Indian River Oscar Smith play and people come out. And the atmosphere is, is a good atmosphere for the kids to be in. And plus, Chris Scott's over there now, so it adds an extra, it adds a little extra oomph to the meaning of the game. So the competition was great, and we love it.
Sort of your friend of me now. And it's kind of an interesting year for last year. You had a great season, first time beating Smith since the 1990s, unbeaten regular season for the first time in, I think, 24 years or so for the school. But the ending was not what you wanted, losing the regional championship game to Maury. How do you, as a coach, process it and view it looking back?
We just get better, man. Get better as a coaching staff. I know we took it on our chin for that game because we felt like we got out-coached. To a certain extent. So we're taking necessary steps this year to make those adjustments to get better as coaches so we don't put ourselves in that position again. And the kids have, they got a bad taste in their mouth and they've been working hard. And they understand that we put them in some situations that they shouldn't have been in, but they still take ownership of the game because they feel like they should have made some plays that they didn't make. But, all in all, we just working hard, man, trying to get better so, we don't put ourselves in that position again.
Sure. Before we look at this year's squad and some of the key names, and you already got 4 guys committed to FBS schools. It's not even June yet, folks. You lose some key parts with Dominic Brooks. I think he's going to Norfolk State. Ashawn Moore, the linebacker. You lose just weapons everywhere. Ben Smiley, defensive line, and others. Are you at the point, though, as a program where it's not rebuild, it's reload? Is that kind of how you look at it?
Yeah, because, we've had talent over the years. We've lost talent, and then new talent pops up. So it's one of those deals where Ben was a 9th grader and a 10th grader at one point, and then he became who he was. Kanai was the same way. Ashawn missed a couple years, but he's always been a guy that could play. Rasheem Brooks, same way. He was a 9th grader, had to sit out a year. Then, he played quarterback for us that next year, and he came out of nowhere. And we got some kids with that same type of capability that was playing JV last year.
Doesn't hurt when you have arguably the most explosive player in Tyler and Dare to the state, and Lamarion James. You can play him at running back, wide receiver. He's committed to UNC. What have you seen from him since his junior season ended? Because last year he was a newcomer for you.
Yes, he's learning how to run routes now, which makes him that much more dangerous. And we've moved him to the slot, so he's no longer playing the outside receiver. He's moving into the slot now, where he can catch the bubbles. He can catch the dig routes inside on linebackers, where guys are less athletic than he is, where he's not matched up on a guy that's of a Sheridan Jones type deal. So now we've been able to move him around a lot more with him learning how to run routes because he was a running back before. So he's took this offseason to get better at route running. And today, it showed a lot. He caught some passes, got upfield, and did some things with the ball.
Not to say he's preserving, but it's kind of that effect of guess where he's at, basically, kind of that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't game plan for him like that.
Now, people think, man, they lose Smiley and Crichton, but the strength of your team a year ago seemed to be your defensive front. Yes. You still got Cameron Hunter, who played some, and Corey Lucas. They're both going to Liberty. So you still have some pieces in your defensive front, despite losing those guys and more, that can be factors?
Oh, definitely. Especially on the D-line, we still got Corey Lucas. We still got Ryan Powles that had a breakout year last year. I think he ended the year with about 10, 11 sacks. We have a young guy that played some major minutes in place of Kanai. So we got some pieces. We still got some pieces that we could be pretty good. We can be pretty good up front. Linebacker-wise, we've lost some guys. We lost Chance Baylor. We lost Charles Dixon. We lost Ashawn Moore. And those guys are going to be hard to replace. But you move a Cam Hunter back from DN to linebacker to kind of soften that blow. We have another DN that played major minutes for us last year as a DN. He's going to bump back to Mike. Elijah Harris. He's going to bump back to Mike. So we got some guys working in spots, to give us a look right now in 7-on-7 where they look pretty good.
That's what I was going to get to. We're talking with the coach from Indian River, Glenwood Ferebee here. Now, is that the bigger question mark or linebacker spot, or is it the question mark for almost every team in the area, quarterback position, because Brooks was such a big factor for you in set numbers and records?
Oh, definitely. We're going to miss him. We're going to miss him. The offense has to change a little bit.
How's the QB spot looking? Is it a competition right now? Or
right now, nah, it's not really. We got the JV quarterback, and he's kind of like Rasheem Brooks was for us the year before, but he has a quicker release than than Rasheem does, but he's just as fast. So he gives us another dimension that we can use RPO-wise.
We're about 5 minutes and we didn't bring up Tyrell Sproul, who just committed to Navy, and then Jamal Burnell, who showed flashes as a freshman. I imagine he's going to double that this year.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, we still got some guys to get it done, and when you got guys like Lamarion, Jamal, and Tyrell Sproul, it gives you some options to be able to, like, we might not be able to throw the ball down the field, but we can put them guys in the backfield. We can throw them screens and things like that, throw them little stop routes, and turn around and be running backs like their natural ability allows them to be. So I'm excited. I can't wait. When you got a guy like Lamarion James, I think he's probably, if not one of the best players in this state. I think he is the best player in the state. He just hasn't had a chance to show it yet because we had so much talent. And he's going to be able to show it this year because he's not going to just touch the ball 5 times a game like he did last year. He'll touch it 15 to 20. So imagine the type of impact he'll have with 15 to 20 touches. So we had a lot of talent last year. This year, we still got talent, but it's one of those deals where those guys like Lamarion and Terrell is going to touch the ball a whole lot more than they did last year because we don't have as much talent.
Look forward to seeing you guys come August, and thank you so much.
All right, appreciate you.
So that was Indian River head football coach Glenwood Ferebee off the Braves, his best season in many years. We'll hear from the coach of the team that knocked them out of the playoffs, Maury's Dyrri McCain, later on in the show as he speaks about C.J. Beasley's commitment to Virginia Tech as well as what's going on with the Commodores fresh off their best run since 1972. And you heard it, Coach Ferebee believes he has the best player in the state in Lamarion James committed to UNC. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Before we go to break here, Thomas, we have a score update. Somehow, some way, somebody finally scratched a run across the board. Hickory's Hawks lead Nansemond River 1-0, top of the 6th over at War Memorial Stadium in Hampton. Winner there moves on to the semifinals coming up on Monday in Region 5A, and they await the winner of Maury-Salem, which is later today at War Memorial Stadium. And then you have Menchville-Gloucester in the 3-6 matchup, Hampton versus Princess Anne in the 2-7 matchup. The last two teams standing take each other on in the region championship and move on to the state tournament. They'll play the teams from Richmond, where it looks like the Final Four in Region 5B consists of all the top 4 seeds. Number 1, Mills Godwin, playing number 4, Deep Run, and number 2, Atlee, playing number 3, Prince George. Prince George, the defending state champs in Region 5B, or in Class 5, and last year did so without winning a region title. So you can lose the region and still win a state championship. When we come back, we're going to hear from Tony Grimes, one of the top defensive backs in the country. He is class of 2021, so he's a sophomore going into his junior year. And I believe, Thomas, he's the only player in the state with an offer from Texas. The eyes of Texas are upon you all the livelong day. We'll hear more from Tony Grimes. We've got Matt Etner coming up from Cox High School, too. Don't go anywhere. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports. It's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Matt Hatfield here, back with you on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on this final Saturday of May for 2019. Well, we know Princess Anne High School in Virginia Beach is no stranger to championships when it comes to girls basketball. Darnell Dozier almost has more rings than he does fingers at this point. It's going to start putting some on toes. The football program trying to make a championship push, and they have just the leader to do so with class of 2021 defensive back Tony Grimes, who is up to more than 30 offers. He's got one from Stanford this week as well. We caught up with him at the recent Kellum 7-on-7 passing league, and here's what he told us about his recruitment, winning the DB MVP, and more. Even their new head coach, James Yeager, told us about him. That's right now. We hear it on ESPN Radio 94.1. All right, I'm here with class of 2021 Princess Anne defensive back Tony Grimes as the Cavaliers get ready for the 2019 campaign. Tony, a great offseason for you so far. You just recently won the Rivals DB MVP up at the Rivals camp near D.C. Not too long ago. What was that experience like, and how big of an accomplishment was it?
Big, huge, especially as a sophomore that got a big name like me. I have to come out there and I got to work 10 times harder and go extra hard. So in case no one won't have nothing to say to me if I mess up or if I something like that.
Yeah, already thrusting yourself into the conversation of among the best players in Tidewater as a 2021. We know about the 2020s like Lamarion James at Indian River and Keandre Lambert at Maury. You burst onto this thing as a freshman. We knew right then, all right, this guy's going to be pretty good, and you learned behind Darrell Jones and went up to Maryland, stud receiver, DB from him. What'd you take and study from him as you guys made the playoffs that year? This past year didn't quite get there as a sophomore.
Well, work ethic. He had a hard work ethic. He made sure that I was the first one out on practice, last one leaving, especially going against him as a DB and he's a receiver, worked me hard. So me facing him made it easier for me going out and facing others on different teams.
For those who want to check out Tony Grimes' highlight tape and see him on Friday nights this year and eventually on Saturdays, what are they going to see from him as a corner? What are your strengths as a DB?
Well, first they're going to see a dog. They're going to see a lockdown corner, island by himself, use his hands, hips, good hips, and ball.
What are the college coaches conveying? I know it's early that they like about you because you're up to how many offers now? 30?
32, I think. 32.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
What do they say they like about your game?
Well, they like my on-field and off-field. On-field, they like how, like, my football IQ, my press, my coverage, the way I use my hands, I turn and run with the receiver, and they like my off-field work ethic, how I'm helping the volunteering, family. I'm very motivated. And I help others. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So being a leader off the field kind of translates to on the field. Of those offers, which couple of them are like, whoa, that offer kind of impressed me and really blew me away early? Any few kind of sticking out? I know that list is going to grow and your favorites are going to assemble as you get closer to senior year and decision. But who are kind of like, wow, those are pretty nice ones. I'm going to check them out or I like them a lot.
Well, all of them, but the ones that surprised me, I say Texas surprised me real big because I'm the first one in Virginia that got a Texas offer. So that surprised me real big. Man, Oregon, because of the West Coast.
Places you'll check out?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The vibe with those two right now?
Real good, really good. I'm going to hit up Oregon next month and as well as Texas.
And growing up, did you have a favorite couple of schools, like you're watching TV, or players that you kind of idolized at the college level, pro level?
I say when I was young, since I was from Florida, my favorite team was the Gators. Okay. But now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, because now I'm getting offers and stuff, so I can't show favoritism. But yeah.
Percy Harvin fan growing up?
Percy Harvin fan.
All right. There's been a lot of great DBs in this beach. I mean, you think of the likes of just a corner alone, Demetrius Nicholson, Bayside, and most recently Levante Taylor, Ocean Lakes. Did you watch some of them growing up, kind of as you went to middle school?
Yes, Levante Taylor from Ocean Lakes. Okay. Good DB. He's a dog. Small, but not like playing wise. No, he's not small at all.
Any other places you're going to check out here before the season gets going in the fall? You mentioned Texas and Oregon. Or
Ohio State. Okay. Going back to Texas A&M, Alabama. Probably hit back up Maryland. Okay. Yeah, a couple schools.
What do you want to improve on in your game this coming year where you can go from being that elite prospect to being that elite player week in and week out and thrust this PA team into the playoff picture?
Skill set. You can always go good on skill set. No matter who you face, your skill set going to beat the talent any day.
Okay. And lastly, new coach for you, Coach Yeager. How's the vibe going with him? I know the numbers depth-wise aren't the greatest for PA, but a lot of talented guys in addition to yourself on his team.
Yes, sir. Great coach. He's a great head coach. I'm glad he came in and took over. No disrespect to our last coach, he's amazing. But Coach Yeager, he really knows what he's doing with this program. He's been here for 3 months and he already got us clicking together like never before.
Last 2 years, interceptions were what? How many did you have?
The last 2 years, if I combine them, probably like 9.
Okay, yeah. 5 and 4. Yeah. This guy's going to go for double-digit picks. I know this coming year. Tony Grimes, watch out for him. Thank you so much. Best of luck this year.
Thank you.
So that was the class of 2021 defensive back, sophomore, soon-to-be junior from Princess Anne High School. Tony Grimes getting a lot of attention already, and understandably so. He's got more than 30 offers, and if you read the crystal ball, and he's only going to be a junior, so it's so early, but 50-50 right now that people are projecting the analysts between Texas A&M and Virginia Tech for him, but he has plentiful the options you heard there. Stanford, just Texas is in the mix of so many schools. He pretty much almost pick anywhere he wants to go. One of the best defensive backs in all the country. And Princess Anne's football opener, it's hard to believe this, but it'll be here before you know it, folks. The summer flies by. It's Thursday, August 29th. They're at Kempsville. Kempsville has a new coach as well, and Daryl Cherry coming over from Toller, where he was an assistant. James Yeager, the new coach for Princess Anne, coming over from Salem, where he was an assistant. So it'll be someone getting their first win in their coaching debut. Someone who is not a new head coach. He is, I believe, I want to say his third year. Matt Ittner, he's the head baseball coach of the Cox Falcons, who are used to competing for championships, coming off a big win yesterday on the diamond over the Woodside Wolverines. We'll talk about his team's performance, their key players, and the upcoming matchup with city rival First Colonial right here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com, and it's only on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back to High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com here on ESPN Radio 94.1. I am Matthew Hatfield. Coach Ed Young is on assignment today, but should be back here with us next week as we turn the calendar from May to June, and looking to be in the state playoff mix when they turn the calendar to June are the Cox Falcons in baseball. Always a competitive program. You think of their success over the years and Beach District titles and winning a state championship, in fact, back in 1996. And the head baseball coach of the Cox Falcons, Matt Ittner, joins us now on ESPN Radio 94.1, fresh off their win 16-2 over Woodside on Friday. Coach, congrats on the victory yesterday. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. And 17-4, I believe the record is after yesterday's victory?
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me this. Let's dig into your background a bit. I believe you're a Cox High School graduate, are you not?
Yes, sir. I was a 2008 graduate. I got to play for Coach Conroy here, who I eventually got to take over for.
Yeah, one of the greats there. Now, you were before Chris Taylor?
So Chris was a 2009 graduate. We played together for 3 years here in the program. So he's a pretty close friend of mine, and he's always great to the program and awesome to have around.
Awesome. So you guys were teammates. And are you surprised at all the success he's had in the big leagues with the LA Dodgers?
Not one bit. I mean, Chris is, ever since we were playing together when we were youngsters, I mean, he's just continued to get better. I think that's the one thing about Chris. He's probably the most consistent human being I've ever been around, consistent baseball player I've ever been around. He is always looking to get better. He is one of the most coachable guys I've ever been around, but also one of the fiercest competitors. And when you put those two things together, you got a pretty special player.
If I'm not mistaken, before you came back to Cox to be the head coach, you coached at Salem High School?
Yes, sir. I was there for 3 seasons. Great experience, great school, great baseball program. Got to take over for Coach Zell, who's now at Ocean Lakes. So it was a great time there, and they're one of the best teams in the area this year. They play tonight, I believe, at 7 at War Memorial. So they got a great squad this year. They
certainly do, and I following 2 greats with Pete Zell there, and then Bill Conroy, who we'll touch on in a second, at Cox High School, where you played. Matt Ittner, our guest here on ESPN Radio 94.1's High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com, as we chat with him after last night's win over Woodside and preview their matchup with First Colonial coming up in the semifinals. So this is year 2 for you at the helm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us about your college days after you were done as a 3-year varsity letterman for the baseball team there at Cox with the Falcons. Where'd you go on to college?
I got to play 2 years for actually Coach Wilson at College of the Albemarle. So that was a great experience as a junior college. Got to play a lot of baseball, learned a lot. Got to obviously play for one of the most successful coaches that's come out of this area. And then I finished my last 2 years at Virginia Wesleyan for Coach Booth. So been extremely blessed with the guys that I've been around, and I think that's the reason why I decided to go down this path of being able to play for a Coach Conroy and a Coach Wilson and a Coach Booth. All 3 of those guys had a tremendous impact on me as a young man, and it's kind of funneled me into this profession, and just extremely grateful for the opportunities I had with all 3 of them.
Well, some wonderful influences there, what you mentioned with Nick Booth at Virginia Wesleyan, the great Norby Wilson, and Coach Conroy, Bill Conroy there at Cox. How are those guys, how are they similar and different in your eyes, and how is your coaching strategy, philosophies, are they pretty much modeled after those men?
You know, each of those guys are unique. There's definitely things that they do the same. There's some things that they do differently. I just tried to pull pieces from every single one of them and try to apply them. They've had, like I said, they've had a huge influence on my coaching philosophy. There's things that, you know, as a coach, you're always evolving. You know, you always have to be learning. There's things that you sometimes will maybe get away from that those guys did, but you'll find yourself circling back and maybe doing some of those same things, you know, a year or 2 later. So they're huge mentors of mine. They continually support me, and so I couldn't be in a better position with the baseball men that have surrounded me and helped me, you know, in my coaching career. I mean, they're second to none, all 3 of those individuals.
We all know how good this baseball area is, especially in the 7-5-7 when you talk about the Beach District and this Region 6A. Last year, First Colonial was the region champ. You guys had to face Western Branch right off the bat in the first round, which is no picnic. Fell to them 5-2. Coming into this year, how much did that fuel the guys, and what's been different for this squad from last year to this year? Just been overall experience and gaining knowledge of your system?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, it's actually 1 year from today that we got knocked out. And I think the biggest difference with this group is that they went to work the next day. They did not like the taste they had in their mouth a year from today, and they were willing to do things a little bit differently. We have tremendous leadership at the top, but we have tremendous leadership throughout the program. It's a great group of guys. They are very intentional about being a team. They hold each other accountable. They make sure that they spend time outside the baseball field to build those relationships with one another. And their work ethic is tremendous. They're not satisfied with what we put on the practice plan. They know that after that is where they're truly going to, bridge that gap to be a champion. So that's just kudos to our older guys. That's kudos to, all the guys that are on this roster. They push one another. But also they're very intentional about being a team, and they care about one another as well. So when you have that, then you're kind of putting yourself in a position where you could have a special group. And there's no doubt I think we have that.
And we'll touch on your key performers in a moment here, as well as the matchup with First Colonial. We're chatting with Matt Ittner, the second-year head baseball coach of the Frank W. Cox Falcons in Virginia Beach, his alma mater, here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Matt doing a fine job following up the great Bill Conroy after he retired a couple years ago following his 17-season tenure there. And, Coach, you know how important it is for seeding. You were a 7 last year playing Western Branch of 2. This year you're a 2 seed, beating the 7 Woodside 16-2, and you got off to a great start this year. I believe you started out the season, if memory serves me right, like 8-0, 9-0, something of that nature. But how big was that to know, all right, we're going to get a better seeding and hopefully potentially an easier, though not an easy draw?
Yeah, I think that goes into play of just kind of having the big picture in mind, from game one. You understand every game's going to count towards your regional seeding, and, we started this process back, obviously when it comes to our games, we started it the second week of March, and you have to be ready to go, and you understand that everything that you do is going to put you in a position, try to put yourself in the best position to have success come this time of year. And we've just stayed dialed in and we've stayed focused. And, we've had some times where we lost 2 in a row down in South Carolina, our last 2 when we went to Charleston for a spring break tournament. And I think it was one of the best things that could have happened for our ball club because it challenged us. It challenged us that it wasn't going to be easy, and there are going to be setbacks and there's going to be adversity. But ultimately, how you respond to it is ultimately how you're going to be judged. And this group again continued to. We didn't hang our heads. We held each other accountable, and we made some adjustments, and we fought our way through a really tough back half of the schedule that we had in the Beach District with having series against First Colonial, Ocean Lakes, and Kellam to end the year. And, those are all 3, as you saw yesterday, all 3 of those ball clubs made it to the region semifinals. So we've been tested, and, we've responded well, and that's probably been the biggest thing I've been happy with our ball club.
Yeah, great day for the Beach District. 4-0 in Region 6A. A couple of Beach teams in Princess Anne Salem trying to punch their ticket to the semifinals in 5A today. And, Coach, let's go over some of those key performers for you, beginning with the seniors who have either committed or should get an opportunity to play somewhere at the next level.
Yeah, we have Cam Wallace, who is committed to play at Christopher Newport, which, we all know the storied program over there, one of the best Division III programs in the country. And, Cam is – he's flat out a leader. He is the guy that he's one of the first ones there and the last ones to leave. He is always making sure that everybody is on the same page, and that's the one thing we talk about in as our seniors is you have a responsibility to make sure that you are prepared when you come to the ballpark, but as a senior as well, you have to be sure that everybody else is prepared. And, that is a tough thing to put on a 17, 18-year-old kid. These guys have academics, they have extracurriculars, but I think that's kind of what separated us this year is just having a very mature senior group. We also have South Trimble in that mix that he's committed to go play at George Mason, and he's our shortstop, and he's the same as Cam. He's one of the first ones there, last ones to leave. And, he's just those guys are willing to do anything. The littlest job to the biggest job, whether it's get the game-winning hit or to pick up that rake that somebody left out. There's no job that's too big. There's no job that's too little. We also have Elias Dills, who's a 2-sport guy for us, football, baseball, and he's the ultimate competitor. Over 4.0 GPA, all-state orchestra. We call him the Renaissance Man because he can compete. He competes with the best of them on the football field and on the baseball diamond. He's 6-1 for us this year on the mound. He also catches. Just a great kid. Super smart, but he also, like I said, he's the Renaissance Man for us. And two other senior pitchers, Corey Ronka and Eric Mason, have gotten some big outs for us and put together some good outings when we've been in some jams to get us out. So those 5 dudes have done a tremendous job. And there's one more, and I definitely want to give him a plug. His name's Spencer Lambert. He's been in the program for 4 years. He's a senior. And he transitioned to what we call our baseball operations role this year. And I tell you what, he's one of the most it's probably one of the most important positions on our team, from just helping with practice plans to running charts to running numbers for us. He's our tech guy. He handles all of our baseball technology stuff. And, he deserves a lot of credit. And these guys, the respect they have for that individual is tremendous. So those 6 guys have really set the standard this year and have laid a tremendous foundation, I think, for years to come.
A couple more minutes here with Matt Ittner, the head baseball coach of the Cox Falcons, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 before their matchup in the regional semifinals against Virginia Beach rival First Colonial. Some great baseball on tap for the region. 6A baseball semis. Go out there and check it out. You have 4 beach schools all advancing. 2 will go to the state tournament. The 8 seed Kellum playing the 5th seed Ocean Lakes, and the number 3 seed First Colonial playing the number 2 seed Cox. And Coach, you mentioned about Cam Wallace, who's committed to CNU, and South Trimble committed to George Mason, your shortstop. Eli Dills, some multi-sport athletes I'm hearing with football, basketball, baseball. And I know a lot of coaches get concerned about that, but I'd imagine given the success of all the athletic programs there at Cox High School, it's got to be a good thing for you guys over there.
It is. I mean, the coaching pedigree that we have in this building is tremendous. We share athletes. The stuff that they're able to learn in other athletic environments is only going to enhance our environment on the baseball field. So I think it just comes down to communication. As coaches, we just make sure that we communicate. South plays for Coach Wolf, which they've had a tremendous last 2 seasons. And, I think that it all comes down to getting our guys in competitive environments. And both Eli and South have both played in competitive environments. Cam Wallace he was on the basketball program for 2 years, and he was in the football program for 3 years as well. So, he had a leg injury last year and decided to focus on baseball. So we totally support one another in this building. That's something that we pride ourselves on, and I think it ultimately helps all of our athletic programs when we have guys playing multiple sports.
There's no surprise when you walk by the trophy case at Cox High School, as I have, you see a lot of hardware there for multiple sports, winter, fall, and spring sports. And, Coach, tell me about this First Colonial matchup. If I read it right, you split with FC. You beat them 10-5, lost to them 1-0. Do you draw back on those 2 games from a few weeks ago, or are they pretty much irrelevant at this point in the regional semifinals?
I think you do a little bit of both. I mean, I think the interesting part that you have in this is that you have, one of the most storied rivalries probably on this side of Richmond, I would say, in the Tidewater area between, 2 schools that are 3/4 of a mile away from each other, and you got a state bid on the line. So there's definitely things that we are going to try to look at in those 2 previous games that we want to try to possibly, exploit or get better at that we were exploited on. But once 7 o'clock comes on Tuesday, we got to cut the guys loose, and they got to go out there and they got to play. So we're going to prepare to the best of our ability over these next 48 to 72 hours. But once Tuesday night comes, we're going to let them go, and we're going to let them go out there and compete to the best of their ability, and we'll see where the ball drops here, come Tuesday night.
Well, Coach, we wish you all the best. Now, that game's going to be on Tuesday at Grassfield. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock Tuesday at Grassfield High School in Chesapeake. Watch 2 of the best from the beach square off with the Cox Falcons and the First Colonial Patriots. The winner goes to the state tournament and also will play in the Region 6A championship game against either Ocean Lakes or Kellum. Well, Coach, congrats on a great year so far. We wish you all the best. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it.
You got it. Matt Ittner, our guest here, the head baseball coach of the Cox Falcons, with us on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We come back, we'll hear from Dyrri McCain, head football coach of the Maury Commodores, about C.J. Beasley's commitment and more. It's your Sports Connection, pro, college, high school. We got it all on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Nope. Coach Ed Young is supposedly been taken by the Loch Ness Monster. Something like that. Isn't that what we heard, Thomas? Loch Ness Monster? Is that what someone called and said?
I heard Apollo came down and scooped him up.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. I thought someone called it the Loch Ness Monster. It wasn't Keith Holloman, who you missed earlier in the show, if you're just tuning in now, but he'll be saved by the replay. Real quickly before we get to Dyrri McCain, we have a final in. The Hickory Hawks have moved on. They defeat Nansemond River 1-0 behind Drew Stanley at War Memorial Stadium, so we'll see who will see Hickory in the semifinals, either Maury or Salem. The other two games, Menchfield playing Gloucester and Hampton taking on Princess Anne. It was a big day yesterday at Maury High School. It had everybody there, it seemed like, from the city of Norfolk. Good gracious, that place was packed for the announcement of C.J. Beasley, the running back who chose Virginia Tech. And we caught up with Coach Dyrri McCain as his Commodores look to build off last year's regional title, the program's deepest playoff run in 46 years. Here's what he told us about C.J. and the team on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with the head football coach of the Maury Commodores, Dyrri McCain, entering year 3, I believe, at the helm of the Commodores after last year's regional title and state semifinal appearance today. His 3-star running back, C.J. Beasley, making his college choice, the Virginia Tech Hokies. Coach, we were just talking about it a second ago. You don't see too many players have their recruitment explode from junior year going into senior year like CJ did. Double-digit offers. He had schools from the SEC, ACC, and all over recruiting him, and he's going to Virginia Tech. Your thoughts on him as a player and what Virginia Tech's getting in him?
Oh, man, a stud. And I guess I'll just bring up the first point about him with the explosion of from his junior year going into his senior year. I had been talking to many coaches about this kid and just letting them know what type of guy he is and what type of player he is. But I guess it took for the film to show and for the year to go on for him to get that. His years kind of reminded me of how it happened with Keandre, because it was the same thing and Tashawn and the rest of those guys. But he exploded up on the scene and had a good year, had a heck of a year. So that's with having all the guys outside and him still being able to do what he does in the backfield. I think he finished top 4 in the area as far as a rusher.
Yeah.
So,
which is a lot considering how much you guys throw the ball effectively too.
Right. So with having that guy and with having that dynamic type of guy, man, he brought something to the table, and I think a lot of coaches ended up finding notice to it, and I think that's what kind of built that. And as far as him and what Virginia Tech is getting, like I spoke about in there with the speech, there's nothing I have to worry about with that kid. Like, I mean, he's going to get it done in the classroom. He has so much determination. He's always trying to prove that he can do something. He's that type of kid. If you tell him that he's not 6'2", he's going to try and stretch his body to be 6'2". If he's not 200 pounds, he's going to try and get 200 pounds.
Well, that determination is probably got to transfer over to the football field, where you're in tight games and you know you can go to him for a drive to finish it off, basically, right?
No question. He had some really good runs last year. I think one that really stuck to me, we played Salem in the regional semi.
And they got a great back as well.
Yes, and he's a heck of a back. But that run that CJ made, I think we were like midfield. We were about the 40-yard line, and he ran. It was supposed to be like a 7-yard gain, and then he dragged for another 10, 13 yards. So to see that from him, that was the moment that I saw, like, yes, this guy's ready to go.
And it's kind of the naturally born leaders, because, I mean, you got about 80+% of your team back, though you do lose your quarterback, Avante Lawton, and Sheridan Jones, the All-American corner to Clemson. Is he a guy that's going to now direct these guys, along with Keandre Lambert, Ty Granger, and others, to kind of get them in line, knowing what's at stake for you guys this year, and you can be right back in that hunt?
Yeah, I think with CJ, and we talk about how guys got to get better at their game and all that type of stuff. He doesn't worry me about his ability and wanting to get better and all that type of stuff. And he doesn't worry me about his leadership. I think if somebody asked me earlier, like, what do you think that he has to work on? His ability in his game, that doesn't worry me. He's going to get better. He's going to be good. His leadership is the biggest thing. And when you could say that, I mean, you're getting a heck of a kid if that's all he has to work on. And that's not saying a bad way, like he's not, but that's the only thing I feel like that that he needs to put more work into, because he needs to understand the responsibility of him being the player that he is.
Well, and then they get to college, the weight program, just polish up the technical things. Those things are smaller than some of the bigger picture things for kids that make that transition. He's got that stuff down pat. Looking at this year coming up here with his decision out of the way, you got some other guys that will be making college decisions. And I heard a statement from somebody recently about, man, they go over to Maury and you've got like almost a college-like program with the guys you got and the way that they're operating. From year one to year two, how did you guys take that from, you guys were under 500 first year, second year you're playing in a region championship, you win it, you get to states. How did that process all go? I mean, I know you give it to the kids as the credit, but there was a lot of things behind the scenes, I'm sure, that contributed to it too.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like you said, it was definitely the guys. It was definitely the kids. They just bought in. I think it was more so of them understanding. That first year, we were never really out of any game. It wasn't over from the beginning, that first year. So I think they saw, like, we can do it. It's just some little things that we got to change and do, and more discipline and learning how to practice and little things like that. And those guys, like, were willing to take whatever challenge was put on the table. And when you got guys that are willing to do that, that's going to lead to 4 or 5 more wins. So I think that's pretty much it. And of course, coaching brought more coaches in. I think we were only at 5 my first year. Got hired here kind of late, but having those guys, my staff, and the kids wanting to buy into it, I think it just put everything together into what we did last year.
Well, much as you know from being at Norview with Coach Cotton, once you're in kind of year 3, it's kind of entrenched as your program, it's your guys. Last 2 for you, thank you for your time here with Coach McCain of the Maury Commodores. The hallways here at Maury, I got to imagine that it's really upbeat, and there's kind of that swagger around it with the basketball team winning a championship. You guys winning a regional title, spring, winter, and fall sports all doing well here. Is there kind of a different feeling and vibe around the school and the community here?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Teachers love it. Principal, Miss Karenberg, she loves it. Of course, Ed Boyd loves it, our AD.
He's staying pretty busy.
Yes, he is. Busy guy. But, no, the teachers love it. Everybody loves it. I know as far as football, we just kind of wanted to set that tone for everybody across. And basketball, they definitely finished the deal, so congrats to Coach Plummer. But we were just trying to set the tone for everybody else to do what they're doing, and the year's going on, and we're going to try and do the same thing next year.
Final one, rankings aren't out, and we know Highland Springs is defending 4-time state champs, and for a reason. They're mighty good. You saw them in state semis, but there's kind of this word out there. Maury could be the number 1 team in Hampton Roads this year, and you guys could be on a collision course again. Now you're the hunted as opposed to hunter. How different is that approach as you go into this year, or does the approach just remain exactly the same?
I think hunted is I think that's outside. Okay. I think that's what other people think is what it is. I talk to my team all the time, and I just ask them what they want, man. And I know I say that all the time, but that's serious. I ask them what they want, and whatever they want, they just got to know that the work that's happening to them or what's happening to them is because it's what they wanted. So we really I know for me, I can speak for myself. I just stick to whatever the guys want. Coaches, we got to deliver. Whatever these kids want, we got to deliver. We got to do our best to deliver. So as far as that, I don't really feed into any of that. I don't at all. But I mean, I can see why people want to say that. But we got work to do here. We gotta stay hungry. We gotta stay healthy. We gotta stay working hard, because all that really is on paper. But we still got to line up at 7:00 versus Bethel's our first game, and then whoever else. And we gotta do it on the field before we talk about paper.
Well, it should be some fun Friday nights here at Maury High School in Norfolk. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks.
That was Dyrri McCain yesterday with us, the head football coach of the Maury Commodores, chatting about C.J. Beasley going to Virginia Tech and the outlook for Maury football. Sad note to pass along, Bill Yost passed away yesterday at the age of 94, the former T.C. Williams coach and the defensive or assistant coach, I should say, in that movie, Remember the Titans. So he passed away at the age of 94. On a positive note, not so gloomy, congrats to Michael Stevenson, former assistant coach of Ed Young back in the day at Suffolk High. He's now the head basketball coach at Northumberland. He's going into the Northern Next Sports Hall of Fame today. We're going to get Coach Stevenson on next week in June. We thank all our guests today. Matt Ittner of the Cox Falcons baseball program, Matt Arrington of Churchland softball program, Glenwood, Ferebee, Indian River, Dyrri McCain and C.J. Beasley of Maury, Tony Grimes from Prentice, and we can't forget about Keith Holloman from Smithfield. All right, for Thomas Simmons, I'm Matt Hatfield. Thomas, who you got tonight? Bucks, Raptors, game number 6. Raptors favored by 2.
I think the Bucks forced to 7, but the Raptors are too good. They're going to win it all.
So you got
not the whole NBA. They're going to win the whole Eastern Conference.
You got the Raptors in Game 7. I got the Raptors finishing it off tonight, and Drake's going to be delirious and going crazy, I'm sure. We'll do it again next Saturday in June. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.